back. Sorry about that, everyone. I have no idea why that happened. Here we go. Mike, good to see how you're doing. Okay, all the previous comments, every single one of them disappeared. I have zero idea why that happened. So if you did put a comment down, so sorry, all of your comments just disappeared. But now I'm getting the comments back. Yeah, back Miles. Yeah, the sensitivity is low. So, brother, Mimi, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? You're back. Yes, I am. Everyone, if you do not mind, retweet the new one. So I restarted the live show because of a technical situation. I think it's the platform that I'm using, Restream. So Restream, I think, is going through some updates maybe. And that's why I got kicked out and had to restart. So once again, how you doing, everyone? And if you don't mind, retweet. So I've deleted the previous lives. Everyone retweet this live you're watching right now. Everyone go retweet it. Everyone go like it again. I'm so sorry about this. I think it's Restream. They're having issues right now with their systems. Good evening, brother. Funky brother, good to see you. How you doing? Evening, Miles. The CMF Joe, good to see you. How you doing? Yeah, I say good evening, Miles and family. How you doing tonight? Carlos, good to see you. How you doing? I don't think you said anything controversial this time when it went down. Yeah. No, I think it's the platform that I'm using, Restream. It's suddenly just, it has probably a bug in the system, the platform that I'm using. So apologies about that, everyone. That's why I had to restart the live. And thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting the new live now. Apologies about that. So thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting the new live, who's liking the new live as well. I thought it was me. Morning, Miles of CMF. Good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Why censorship? Well, I mean, if you only knew what I used to, what I do say, it's. But how you doing, Pony Boy? It's okay. I had the chance to give you an extra like. Let's go. Good evening, brother Miles again. Fuck brother, good to see you. How you doing? What's up, Miles? And what's up, CMF? Kerry, good to see you. How you doing? Jason, evening, Miles of CMF. Good to see you. How you doing? Good evening, CMF. Funky brother, good to see you. How you doing? Good evening, Miles. How are you? I'm doing great. Callie, how you doing? How you been? And thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting the new live show right now and liking the new live show again. Apologies, genuinely. So on tonight's live show, we are going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about essentially why the markets are starting to react and suddenly start moving on the uptrend. We're going to talk about the cryptocurrency market in general. It's the first news topic we're going to go through. Then we're going to be talking about El Salvador on tonight's live show because the International Monetary Fund is pressuring El Salvador regarding their Bitcoin movements. Then we're going to talk about JP Morgan on tonight's live show. JP Morgan, once again, has came out and given their perspective on Bitcoin, and it's positive. But this time around, it's actually Nicholas from JP Morgan that's given his perspective. We haven't heard from Nicholas from JP Morgan for a while now. And then we're going to be talking about the MiCA regulations in the EU. Tether is going to be losing a lot more market share by the looks of it because Coinbase is going to be the next exchange that delists Tether in the European market space. We're going to go through that on tonight's live show. We're also going to talk about AI on tonight's live show as well. So AI is a matter that isn't much discussed inside the United States. The main topic inside the United States is bringing in regulations for cross-border payments or NFTs in some cases. But apparently Congress really wants to go into this AI field. And now they want to step it up the game and bring in some regulations to get the ball rolling. Then we're going to go through the news topic on tonight's live show regarding Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban, once again, is at it with his very, very strange movements of who he supports for cryptocurrency innovation. So we're going to go through Mark Cuban's perspective on tonight's live show as well regarding cryptocurrencies. Then we're going to go through the news of Skybridge on tonight's live show. Essentially the capital venture company Skybridge. They just recently raised $100 million, and it's going towards one particular crypto project. It's going to be funded towards one particular crypto project. When we get to that news, I'll tell you which one it is. Then we're going to talk about a bank that's just been approved to operate inside the cryptocurrency space as well. When we get to that news, I'll tell you which bank it is. Then we're going to go through the news topic of another cryptocurrency, essentially, project that is launching itself inside the Japanese market space. Then we're going to go through the news topic of another crypto project who has now become the second largest tokenized US Treasury asset in the entire crypto space. So we're going to go through that on tonight's live show as well. So, mixture of news to go from tonight's live show. We're also going to talk about Bitwise on tonight's live show as well, because Bitwise's essentially Bitwise Asset Management is going to be launching a new type of ETF nobody's ever seen before. So we do have the usual Bitcoin ETF, Ethereum ETF, but what Bitwise is about to be introducing, it's a new concept. So let's see how that's going to go down. But when I share that news, you'll find out what I mean. So, mixture of news to go from tonight's live show. We're going to talk about banking news. We're going to talk about the market news. We're going to talk about AI, perspective news from JP Morgan, and some of the high profile like Skybridge and so on. So, mixture of news to go from tonight's live show, as always we do. And obviously with Q&As. So if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. As always, don't be shy, even if you are new inside the crypto space. So welcome to the CMF Live Show. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this is the CMF Live Show. It stands for Crypto Mouse Family. And you can tune into this live show every single night on X Live or YouTube Live. And this is episode 173, by the way, of the CMF Live Show. And I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital era. Now, the first news topic we are going to be covering is why is the market space slowly starting to move? It's mostly because a particular set of data has just been released from the United States, which makes cryptocurrencies actually look good in this scenario. That's why the market is slowly starting to move, and people are starting to get back to that October phase that we're using inside this month. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. If you do have any comments, put it outside the comment section. Do not be shy. And let's see where we were. No, someone was giving all these speech right. What you said or done, you were gone before coming. How was your day been? Miles has been great. How was your day, Lena? Who do you think the Swift will be using? Chainlink? Do I think Swift is going to be using Chainlink? Okay, Swift has bigger issues than who are they going to be using. Everybody talks about how Swift is too big to fall. Not everybody. There's a mix between inside the crypto space. There's a section inside the crypto space that believes Swift is still going to be the dominant messaging tool or payment tool in this scenario of a digital world, and Swift is going to carry on working with the bankers in a digital world, because now Swift has got a CBDC platform. Swift is going to be launching their CBDC platform in 2025 and so on. And then there's the other side of the crypto space that says that, essentially XRP or Ripple is the chosen one for the cross-border payment systems and for the centralized banks. And then there's the other side of the crypto space that believes that Chainlink is the chosen token for, or the chosen blockchain for Swift to be operating on. Now, Swift did essentially do some testings on Chainlink's network. That is very, very true. I also announced that news a very long time ago. But on that matter of, do I think Swift is going to be using Chainlink? Probably not. They have their own system going on. They're actually working with the Bank of International Settlements on their own system. They've been working on it for a very long time. Now, there has been documentations from Swift on their own testings, and they have mentioned XRP on their own documentations or PDF public information. But Swift has bigger issues than who are they going to be choosing. Is Swift going to be using Chainlink? Is Swift going to be using Ripple? Is Swift going to be using AVAX? There's bigger issue at stake, which is Swift is a political tool. The reason why countries are moving away from the US dollar, it's not mainly because they're moving away from the US dollar. They want to move away from Swift. That's the biggest issue, because Swift is a political tool which goes around and sanctions countries. Swift is not a payment tool or a messaging tool. Somewhere down the line, Swift became a political tool, which it's his biggest drawback. So I'll be honest, it doesn't matter who Swift decides to choose to use. Swift can use Ripple, Swift can use Chainlink, Swift can use AVAX, Swift can use Ethereum if they wanted to. They're still a political tool, and no country wants to use them eventually, because every country is afraid one day that Swift is going to turn around and sanction them. That's the biggest drawback to Swift. So it doesn't matter who Swift decides to use. A lot of centralized banks around the world don't like the idea of Swift, because one day, somewhere down the line, they're afraid of being sanctioned, which makes Swift not a payment tool or a messaging tool. It makes it a political tool. So it doesn't matter who Swift uses, they're done for. Now, it's the sanctions issues with Swift. It's not the slow speed and so on, because for years on years in the banking world and the financial world, they coped with Swift. You know, Swift was expensive for years, was slow for years. But the biggest downfall of Swift, it sanctions countries, which makes it not a payment tool, but a political tool. And that's the biggest drawback to Swift. So it doesn't matter who they use, there's no future for them. How has your, it's been great. And what up, brother Miles, a CMF? Billo, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? XRP news somewhat, yes, regarding Ripple, yep. Don't forget my question, Miles. Yes, T asked the question of, if I don't forget, it was, okay, T, you got to put your question back inside the comment section. T, just rewrite your question. Apologies about that, because there were so many comments before, but drawing a blank here. T, just write your question again. Apologies. I remember now. T, you said that is XRP going to miss the bull run because of the appeal case situation? So that was your question. Okay, it's pretty much a number one question. If you're inside the XRP space, your number one question is probably thinking to yourself, oh no, is XRP going to miss another bull run because of this appeal situation? I remember now, because of this appeal situation. The answer to that question is, look, right now we're in a very extremely manipulated and corrupted market space, which isn't a massive positive for any sort of cryptocurrency. Now, the next wave of clientele entering the crypto space that are still entering is institutional clientele. Now, these aren't just my words. It's the same words that Grayscale is saying. It's the same thing that JP Morgan is saying, Goldman Sachs is saying, and a few other high-profile executives inside the financial sector are saying the exact same thing, that the next wave of clientele coming in are institutional clienteles, which means the crypto space is going to become a lot more volatile, a lot more corrupted, a lot more manipulated. The crypto space was already manipulated and corrupted, but adding the, the section of the corporate sector coming in, it's going to be heavily corrupted. The point I'm trying to make is that everybody's going to be a little bit late into a run situation, because the run that we're going to be having is not going to be your typical run. It's going to be a utility run. Now, a lot of people might say, well, everybody says, this year is different. This year is different when it comes to the crypto space, and it never is. Yes, but look at the clientele. We have things inside the crypto space that we've never had before. Regarding banks, we've never had a lot of banks inside the crypto space. We've never had regulations inside the crypto space. We've never had institutions inside the crypto space. We've never had countries, essentially forming government bodies inside of their own parliaments for Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. I mean, for crying out loud, Germany has a Bitcoin, essentially, parliament now. I mean, we have so many things inside the crypto space that we've never had before, with regulations, banks and institutions and so on. We're in a different ball game. And I know previously people would say this, but I've never said that in the past. I've only said this for this one. That it's a different ball game. We're in a utility run, which means it's going to be a very corrupted run, very manipulated run, but people who hold on will have a very positive outcome. And the question of, is XRP going to be missing this bull run? No, it's not going to be missing this bull run because it's a utility run. But every token is going to be a little bit slow moving. But make sure you chose the right tokens, because the next clientele, or the clientele already entering the crypto space, is institutional clientele. And if you're not holding a crypto project that doesn't have a benefit for institutions coming in to expand on, to fund into projects, then you definitely hold the wrong projects. I've always said this: don't go against the institutions, because they have all the money. And the good thing about institutions is when they buy a crypto project, they're holding on for 5 years minimum. The reason why you're never going to be seeing, $20,000 Bitcoins again is because you have massive institutions buying Bitcoins or Bitcoin ETFs, and they're not going to be selling for 5 years minimum. The majority of them, they're not going to be selling for minimum 5 years, because they're seeing it as a 5-year projection. That's just how you see things inside the corporate sector. You buy a certain asset on a 5-year projection. Hence why you're never going to be seeing $20,000 Bitcoins for a very long time. I was the person saying this when everybody else inside the crypto space was saying, oh, Bitcoin is going to go down to 20,000. Everybody remember that time period a very long time ago? Everybody inside the crypto space was saying $20,000 Bitcoins is on the way. And I was the only person saying, no, it isn't. Because I know how institutions operate, because I'm in the corporate sector. So they're buying crypto assets 5-year projection. So what I'm trying to say is don't go against institutions. The next clientele are institutions coming inside the crypto space, and they're still coming in. Go towards crypto projects that is going to benefit you with the institutions coming in, the regulations coming in, the banks coming in, and you'll be perfectly fine. Right now, we're going to go for a utility run, which means if you hold a project that's going to benefit the banks, institutions, the regulations in a utility run, you're perfectly fine. Is XRP going to miss this run? Hell no. Now, good evening, Miles. Sorry, I've been out a little bit later. Hope I've not missed too much. Nope, I think actually perfect timing, I'll be honest. I don't think XRP is going to move till next year now. I don't think the entire market space is going to be moving that much, to be fairly honest. I don't feel in my heart there is an institutional push to get all us retailers out of the market. The institutions are pushing in the mindset of supposed negative information, yes. But we've also got to consider a lot of things that's happening right now. We've got geopolitical tensions going on right now. We have scenarios of wars happening right now. We have manipulation and corruption inside the crypto space. We have manipulation and corruption from politicians inside the crypto space. There's a lot of corruption happening right now inside the crypto space. So adding all those factors in, I think everybody's going to be a little bit, everybody's going to be a little bit late in terms of all crypto projects to a utility run. So XRP is not missing anything. Now, it's a slow progress. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market space is what we're going to talk about right now. So if you're wondering to yourself, why is the crypto market starting to slightly move up and do a little bit better? Because we've just, essentially received new data from the United States market space. So Bitcoin price recovery driven by growing US financial concerns. Bitcoin has risen 2.4% since essentially retesting the $59,900 support level. Despite the essentially facing initial resistance at $62,000, the gains on October 4th were primarily driven by macroeconomic factors such as the US employment data that came out, expectations of an economic situation like in Japan, and growing concerns about the US financial system is making people run towards crypto assets to hedge against that scenario. In the US, the economy is booming, but physical conditions are deteriorating. Interestingly, the US dollar surged to a 50-day high against the other major currencies, including the euros, the British pounds, and Japanese yen. Historically, the relationship between the US dollar index, the DXY in other words, and Bitcoin has been inversely essentially correlated. However, this latest movement seems to defy that essentially pattern. One possible explanation for this anomaly is the milkshake theory. Now, hear this one out, which essentially posts that the US dollar is observing excess global liquidity by offering higher interest rates and showing stronger economic fundamentals. As a result, the US attracts capital from other nations, which strengthens the US dollar even as investors look to alternative assets like Bitcoin. Better than expected, US economic data has further accelerated this trend. The US payroll data released essentially today showed that 254,000 additional jobs were essentially on openings in this month alone, exceeding the economist forecast. These figures put the US economy ahead of other regions, thereby bolstering the strength of the US dollar. At the same time, concerns about a global economic growth have intensified following essentially the Japan signals of potential market turmoil, we could say. The Japanese Prime Minister has reportedly directed his ministers to draft an economic relief package, according to retainers. The plan is expected to include financial support for low-income households and subsidies for local governments, marking a departure from Japan's previous monetary policies, which have struggled with the deflation of the past 3 decades. A 9% weekly surge in oil prices has also been happening, driven by escalating conflicts in the Middle East, is heightening global inflation risk essentially rising transportation and logistics costs are likely to push consumer price indexes higher as well. Should these costs increase and persist, governments may be forced to inject more liquidity into market spaces to prevent economic downturns. In this environment, Bitcoin could be the benefits, or cryptocurrencies in general, from the expectation of increased fiat money supplies. However, its gains might be limited to a flight to quality scenario. As investors weigh the potential recession, seek refuge in cash holdings and in companies that are well positioned to weather economic slowdowns, cryptocurrency is still seen as a better option. The S&P 500 is not traditionally viewed as a risk-off asset, but when considering the high profit margins and robust balance sheets of major tech companies like Apple, Google, and Microsoft. These stocks are seen as a safer option compared to real estate or corporate debt. This is particularly true as investors anticipate further increase in the US Treasury yields in the near future. Billionaire investor Stanley has expressed concerns that the US Federal Reserve is trapped when it comes to further interest rates, given that the current strength of the US economy, according to also a Bloomberg article, that it revealed that 15% to 20% of his portfolio is allocated to bets on rising US Treasury yields. And this is also reported by the Market Watch as well. In this scenario, buying debt instruments becomes less appealing to investors, which supports the stock market and alternative assets like Bitcoin. More importantly, concerns about the US financial market have risen due to a sharp increase in the Federal Reserve's use of repurchase agreements. These arrangements will allow eligible financial institutions to trade bonds for emergency cash, acting as a safety value to avoid direct market interventions, while keeping interest rates in check. However, analysts cited by the retainers argue that the rise in repurchases of agreements indicates that the Fed has limited room to continue adding liquidity. Therefore, Bitcoin's positive performance today can largely be attributed to the macroeconomic landscape as concerns about US physical conditions are growing. So, just to put it in a much more simpler, essentially, version, on one side of the argument, we have new reports coming in that the US data of the jobs openings, 254,000 jobs, everything's perfect, essentially in the previous month, and the US economy should be booming. On the other side of the argument is, particularly on Wall Street, they're waiting for some sort of a recession scenario kicking in. So one side, the US is releasing data, jobs are perfect, the economy is going back to normal. On the other side of Wall Street, they're waiting for a recession. A bubble to burst is basically what they're waiting for. They're saying that the Fed is limited on the room, and the liquidity issue is a big issue for the banking crisis right now as well. So one side of Wall Street is thinking we're going to be going into some sort of a bubble, while the US government is releasing data and saying everything's perfect, don't worry about it. So in that scenario, which side are you going to believe? Are you going to believe the government coming out and saying the market is perfect, don't worry about it? Or are you going to believe the Wall Street heads some of them are coming out and saying, look, we think there's some sort of a bubble and it's going to burst very bad. And that the Fed is buying time for itself. Look, what I could say is, what I have said as well in the past, is that they're playing around with the numbers. I've been saying this for a while. They're playing around with the numbers. And some people might think, well, they can't play around with the numbers. You can't play around with data. Numbers don't lie. It's data. You can always play around with the numbers. And one evidence I could give on that matter, or factual information if you want it, is 2008, when Moody's played around with the numbers. Moody's comes out and tells everybody on Wall Street, it's all good, don't worry about it. The US economy is booming, the real estate market is booming, is what Moody's said in 2008. And then what happened in 2008? One ginormous crash. Moody's played around with the numbers. And when Moody's was asked, why did you play around with the numbers? The simple answer was, Moody's said, if we didn't give the numbers the bankers wanted, they just would have went across the road on Wall Street and asked another agency just like ours. So, I've been saying this for a while. They are definitely playing around with the numbers, and it's mostly because we're in election times. So, if they say we're going into a recession while in an election, it makes Sleepy Joe and Kamala Harris look bad. So once again, the US government is coming out and saying, the jobs are there, the economy is booming, and everything is good. Don't worry about it. While some particular people, high-profile executives, or a billionaire in this case in Wall Street, is coming out and saying, no, I think there's a bubble that's going to be bursting. And that the Fed is buying time for itself. So let's see which one plays out. The US economy telling everybody is perfect, don't worry about it. Or the Wall Street heads coming out and saying, I think there's a bubble right around the corner. The bubble will burst, Miles. Look, if this bubble is going to burst, it's not going to burst now. It's going to burst after the elections. A little bit of time is going to pass after the elections, and then it will burst. But right now, that bubble is not bursting, and they're going to stretch and stretch that bubble, which is going to make it bigger and bigger, which makes the drop even bigger. But then again, you can still fix that as well. I'll tell you how. Okay, there's one way to fix that US bubble. One major way to fix that US bubble. And by the way, the US bubble affects the entire world. As the Bank of International Settlement puts it, if the American markets sneeze, the world market catches a cold. So, knowing that, if the American market bubble bursts, everybody's going down with it. There's one way to fix that. So the US has borrowed a lot of money to a lot of countries. Well, let's just say the United States has a president that, is strong and powerful, and he can go around to countries that own the US money and say, hey, give us our money back. That could fix some of the US's debt issues because the US has borrowed too much and they're not asking for it back. That could fix some of the issues. And also, if you have another person, a president in charge of a country that's powerful enough to, also make other countries pay their rates, that could also help the US government as well. There are ways that the US can stop this bubble from bursting, but it's just if they want to. Because if, Sleepy Joe and Kamala Harris are on one side and Kamala Harris becomes president, that bubble is guaranteed to burst. If Kamala Harris becomes president, a little bit of time would pass her presidency and that bubble will burst. If Trump becomes president, he can control it so it doesn't burst by making countries who owe the US money pay their debt. And by using Bitcoin essentially for reserves or any other crypto assets for reserves to pay their debt as well. There are ways to fix that. But it's not going to be Sleepy Joe or Kamala Harris who's going to fix that US economy. I mean, they're the ones that put into an absolute downfall, to be fairly honest. And then there's also a lot of people who say that Kamala Harris is, it's not her fault. It's, Joe Biden's the president. She's only the vice president. It's not her fault. Well, I mean, if the role of a vice president is so useless, then why even have a vice president? Just somebody else you can, feed your taxpayer money to? And I'm being sarcastic. The role of a vice president is actually very important. But she's abusing her power, so. But, a lot of people are actually backing Kamala and saying, she's only the vice president. The vice president doesn't have any sort of power or abilities to change anything in the economy. Well, if the vice president doesn't have any authority, then why even have a vice president? Just so you can pay your tax monies to? Again, I'm being sarcastic. A vice president actually a very important role. But the people that are saying, But I'd like to know if anyone here has sold their XRP due to what's happened, or if you're not holding XRP anymore. Great question. Just out of curiosity, it's a great question, Shelly. Because of what's happened to Ripple, has anybody sold their XRP? If you don't want to answer, it's perfectly fine. But if you do want to answer, everyone get inside the comment section right now. Because of this appeal, has anybody sold their XRP? I'll be the first one to say it. No. I actually doubled down on my XRP. Because of this appeal, I doubled down on my XRP. But great question from Shelly. Has anybody sold their XRP because of this appeal? Even if you're new, you're watching this for the first time ever, put it down inside the comment section. Yes or no? Get involved. Hell no, Shelly. Hell no, Shelly is what Bull XRP said. That ball will burst, Miles. Miles, the picture they are portraying is very different from the reality. There is a 45k dock workers on strike, which is very bad for the economy. Yes, it is. That is really worrying for the US economy. Definitely is. Regarding the dock strikes that are going on inside the United States right now, it's definitely not good. It adds more layers to it. I explained that yesterday as well. So if the bubble bursts, does that mean that crypto markets will dump? The entire markets of the world will dump. Only Trump can fix that. So why have a VP Pence if there was going to be an assertion and he was against it? Who? Sleepy Joe? Sleepy Joe is not conscious to be against anything. If that's what you're referring to. No chance I'm selling is what T said. Kerry said, I sold all my XRP. Sure you did. David says, hell no. Scott says, no, I have actually dollar cost average on purchases the last few days. Let's go, Scott. Susie says, nope, not me. Dennis says, no, brought more XRP. Kamal says, I'm buying. G says, heck no, I brought more. Orphan says, I didn't sell XRP and I didn't buy. Fair enough. Mike says, holding and shopping for more XRP. Adi says, no, I've not sold my XRP and won't. Whatever happens. Let's go, Adi. No, never, just double down. Let's go, Kali. Just enjoying, I'm just enjoying the show. My XRP ain't going nowhere. Let's go, Jason. Manny says no as well. Kerry says, I sell on red days and buy on green days. Fair enough. Fair enough, Kerry. Now, what we're going to talk about next is El Salvador. Never me, I still hold on to my PEP, its extended family. Why would I sell my little XRP back? Fair enough, Lena. Now we're going to be talking about El Salvador. So El Salvador's Bitcoin strategy is facing scrutiny from the International Monetary Fund. Now, for a very long time, the International Monetary Fund has been against El Salvador buying Bitcoin in general. They've been completely against El Salvador buying Bitcoin, accepting Bitcoin as some sort of legal tender in El Salvador. And it's odd. And also the International Monetary Fund decided to, you could say, blackmail El Salvador at one point. So last year, the International Monetary Fund said to El Salvador, you owe debt. We will take care of that debt, is what the International Monetary Fund said to El Salvador. They said to them, we'll take care of that debt, but in return, you sell your Bitcoins, is what they said to El Salvador. And El Salvador said, no. And I said back then, good for El Salvador. And right now, they're in massive amounts of profits. So the International Monetary Fund is back at it again. The International Monetary Fund has asked the government of El Salvador to reduce the country's exposure to Bitcoin once again, citing concerns about the nation's Bitcoin legislations and widespread use of cryptocurrencies. Julia, the International Monetary Fund's Director of Communications, stated in a press briefing today that the organization is in talks with representatives of El Salvador, expressing disapproval of the nation's Bitcoin strategies and highlighting the risks associated with Bitcoin, she said. She went on to say, the International Monetary Fund went on to say, what we have recommended is a narrowing of the scope of Bitcoin law, strengthening the regulatory framework and oversight of the Bitcoin ecosystem, and limiting public sector's exposure to Bitcoin. Julia also essentially added that the International Monetary Fund is working towards an agreement with El Salvador to introduce a new International Monetary Fund supported program to help with macroeconomic stabilizations and adjustments and also growth enhancing reforms. In this month particular, the International Monetary Fund announced a program aimed to introduce policies to boost bank reserve buffers, improve governance and transparency, and reduce the risk from Bitcoin. The International Monetary Fund is trying to take away in most cases, Latin American countries. The International Monetary Fund is very heavily focused on Latin American countries to reduce their exposure on Bitcoin. El Salvador became the first country to adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender back in 2021 and has developed essentially into a Bitcoin-based economy with the government led by President Nabib, who promised to add 1 BTC each day to the country's balance sheet. The International Monetary Fund has expressed concerns about these Bitcoin adoptions that are happening in El Salvador. The International Monetary Fund stated that that El Salvador could be in significant risk to Bitcoin adoption, adding that while the risk has not yet materialized, it is necessary to enhance transparency and reduce potential physical and financial stability risks. The organization stressed that the need for immediate discussions on this and other key areas. According to the data from BitBo, as of October 17th, the El Salvador's hold 5,748 Bitcoins, with the price of 1 Bitcoin being at $61,377 at that time of writing. The Central American country owns $352 million in Bitcoin. Okay, International Monetary Fund wants El Salvador to sell their Bitcoins because it could be a massive risk to El Salvador and their citizens. But the International Monetary Fund doesn't say anything to BlackRock, who has the biggest exposure to Bitcoin. BlackRock is pretty much the backbone, you could even say, of the United States. And they have the biggest exposure to Bitcoin. MicroStrategy also has a humongous, essentially, exposure to Bitcoin as well. And that's perfectly fine. So BlackRock buying, Bitcoin, that's okay. Goldman Sachs buying Bitcoin, that's okay. JP Morgan, who hated Bitcoin, is now buying Bitcoin, that's okay. So huge banks, humongous companies buying Bitcoin, some of them being the backbone of an entire country, that's perfectly fine. Little old El Salvador owning $352 million worth of Bitcoin, that's too much exposure, according to the International Monetary Fund. Look, so far, the El Salvador government has told the International Monetary Fund to go and stick it where the sun don't shine, which I greatly appreciate for El Salvador doing that, because it makes zero sense that the International Monetary Fund wants to bully these small countries who also own debt to reduce their exposure to Bitcoins because it's not safe. But then you have companies like BlackRock in the billions into Bitcoins, and BlackRock being the backbone of the entire financial system of the United States, you can even say they're invested into every company. If BlackRock goes down, the stock market will go down with it. So, because they're invested into everything. But that's okay. BlackRock being $1 billion into Bitcoin, Goldman Sachs billions, every American corporation being in the billions into Bitcoins, that's perfectly fine. El Salvador owning $352 million worth of Bitcoin, that's a big risk to the International Monetary Fund. But yeah, so far, El Salvador has been telling the International Monetary Fund to stick it where the sun don't shine, hoping they continue to say that to the International Monetary Fund and not let it essentially be bullied by the International Monetary Fund, because that's the only good thing that's happened to El Salvador, which is their Bitcoins. Now, ironically, what we're going to be talking about is JP Morgan. So, JP Morgan, the same company that hated Bitcoin, who called Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme, a scam used by criminals. And even on live TV, the CEO of JP Morgan said, if I was the US government, I will take down Bitcoin. Is now the same company saying, JP Morgan predicts gold and Bitcoin will surge together. JP Morgan's analyst, by the way, Nicholas, if you never heard of him, this guy is pretty much on point. He's an analyst from JP Morgan. Since 2023 until now, Nicholas has been on the money with his predictions. So JP Morgan's analyst, Nicholas, have essentially noted that prominent roles of the debased trades is what's going on in boosting gold and Bitcoin prices. However, the surge of gold has been supported by other reasons, as it intensely focuses more on inflation, geopolitical tensions, and trust crisis in standard currencies. Thus, institutionals, everyday investors both have given essentially a growing increasing to view gold and Bitcoin as their choice of safe haven in these uncertain times. This is, by the way, JP Morgan calling Bitcoin a safe haven. Same company that said Bitcoin is a scam and a Ponzi scheme. And if I was the US government, I'll take it down. Now they're calling Bitcoin a safe haven, something that you should be, diversifying into your portfolio. According to the global, essentially, strategist Nicholas from JP Morgan and his team, while the dollar and the bond yields are in part responsible for the gold's upward mobility, these driving forces merely capture only one side of what is actually happening. It is not just the status of as a reserve currency, but instead also fueled by the geopolitical tensions, fears of inflation, and mistrust in fiat. The analyst said that the so-called debasement trade included a combination of elements, lifting gold, expanding its demand. These include raising geopolitical tensions, uncertainty times, and long-term inflation fears, concerns for debasement of debt from high public deficiencies. JP Morgan's analyst also looked into how institutional investors are behaving. So here's a perspective from JP Morgan, essentially, on how the rest of the institutions are essentially moving forward. To us, this suggests that a speculative institutional investor, such as a hedge funds, might see gold and Bitcoin as similar assets, i.e. both as a beneficiary of the so-called debasement trade. And I just want to say again, JP Morgan has a token by the name of Onyx Coin, which is only for institutions and is never available to the public. And Onyx Coin is built upon essentially ETH and OP capabilities. Yesterday, I revealed news regarding JP Morgan, stating that JP Morgan decided to pour water essentially on Ethereum, where JP Morgan yesterday stated that Ethereum didn't do what they expected and they don't see a future in it. And that was JP Morgan stating that yesterday about Ethereum, the same blockchain or the same ecosystem they built their token on. They came out yesterday and said they don't see an impulse of growth in Ethereum and that the ETFs did horrendous, is what they said yesterday. Today, JP Morgan has said that also yesterday they said that they're telling their investors, their high-profile clients, to go towards Bitcoin, is what JP Morgan is doing. They're telling their high-profile clients and they're teaching them about blockchain education, mainly about Bitcoin, not about Ethereum, even though their token is built on Ethereum. And today they're saying this to us regarding the market space and institutions. To us, this suggests that speculative institutional investors, such as hedge funds, might see gold and Bitcoin as similar assets, both as beneficiaries of the so-called debased trade, but not Ethereum. Once again, they're throwing shade on Ethereum. They could have just ended it with an end quote and said Bitcoin, gold, gold, gold. Instead, they had to end it with Ethereum ain't doing so well again. Or in their words, but not Ethereum. Gold prices have soared in the last few months and have reached as high as $2,700 by the end of September. Part of this uptrend follows the recent decline of the USD and the US real bond yields. In comparison, as the dollar fell 4 to 5%, JP Morgan states this move in gold goes beyond just a negative correlation between the bond yields and the USD. The bank proposes that the darkening geopolitical horizon may be exerting even higher in terms of influence. After all, Bitcoin has long been considered a safe haven against traditional currency risks. And of course, these conditions are expected to affect the environment by favoring the main cryptocurrency. JP Morgan's analysts who are seeing sovereign debt debasements due to the high government deficiencies in major countries say that this is driving investors towards a non-fiat currency option as well. But once again, JP Morgan out of nowhere coming out randomly saying Ethereum is not that much of a great option, but Bitcoin is. It's just very odd, very odd. This is the same, bank that came on live news and said Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. If I was in charge of the government, I will shut down Bitcoin. Now the same bank yesterday said Ethereum performed horrendous. Ethereum doesn't have a pulse of growth. Ethereum doesn't have a pulse of growth within it, and they performed horrendous on ETFs. And then today they're stating, nobody's looking into Ethereum. Who cares about that? It's all about Bitcoin and gold right now because of geopolitical tensions. And they hated Bitcoin. They pulled the Ponzi scheme so on. They built upon Ethereum. Their token Onyx Coin is on Ethereum chain, but they're bashing it 24/7. It's weird, very very weird on their thought patterns. So, what we're going to talk about next is the MiCA regulations. Now, if you don't know, the EU is obviously going to be introducing regulations well ahead of the rest of the Western markets. The Middle Eastern market and the Asian markets are well ahead of everybody else. But the European market space is not that far behind with their MiCA regulations. That's going to be, coming to a close in 2025 on a full large scale. But there is one particular rule in the EU, which is for stablecoins, which is if you want to operate as a stablecoin in the EU, anybody can do it. One rule: you have to keep 60% of your assets in EU banks as reserves. The reason why the EU has made this law is to protect themselves. So USDC wants to operate in the EU, they have to show their reserves, and 60% of assets should be within reach. USDT wants to operate as a stablecoin, the number one stablecoin in the world, wants to operate in the EU market space, has to show their reserves and keep about 60% in reach. Yeah, Tether never showed their reserves to the EU at all, not even once. Tether actually decided to go against the EU, and we all know how that goes. Not so good. The last person you could say that went against the EU was CZ. CZ ended up in prison, and he is released. You know, he's a very intelligent man. I've always said this about CZ. Very intelligent man. Did a lot for the crypto space in the early days. But the last person that went up against the EU and said, yeah, we don't want to listen to was CZ, in about 2 months after CZ was in prison. Not saying that was the reason, but it was because he was getting too big for his own shoes. Tether is about to be delisted from another major exchange, which is Coinbase. Tether is going to be delisted from Binance as well, not for every market space, but for the EU market space, starting with the EU market space. And this entire argument for Tether is that Tether doesn't want to show its reserves or hold 60% of its reserves with EU. Some people are coming out and defending Tether, and they're saying, yes, it's a bad idea for Tether to hold 60% of their reserves within reach for the EU. But there's the other side of the argument, which is it's actually not a bad law. Think of it like this. If you want to use a stable coin, you want to make sure that it always has liquidity and full transparency. Otherwise, you don't want to use that stable coin. Tether, a very long time ago, was charged $14 million in court because they lied about their reserves. Some people don't know about that either. A very long time ago, the United States courts actually fined Tether $14 million, was roughly $14 million, for lying about the transparency issue of their reserves. Tether has difficulties with the EU. They don't want to get listed in the EU because they don't want to show their reserves or hold 60% of those banks. The argument for the EU market space, which is actually logical, is that if EU citizens, if EU banks, if EU corporations want to use USDT, they want to make sure that one day it's not going to depeg. Because if the EU, for example, uses USDT for 5 years, for 10 years, for 20 years, and now USDT is embedded into the EU system, and it's now 30 years past, and after 30 years, fully embedded into the EU system, it depegs. If it depegs, it will take down majority, depending on how much exposure EU banks or EU corporations or even EU small business people have towards USDT. Depending on the exposure, it could damage the EU economy in the future. So the EU is saying, you know, we want to protect ourselves from certain scenarios in the future. If you want to operate in the EU, very simple rule: show transparency, hold 60% within reach of the EU. So in case you do depeg, we have access and we can, fix the issue. Not you depeg and the US and essentially the EU economy goes down with it. So from the EU perspective, it's actually very logical that they want to defend their citizens and defend their banks and institutions using USDT. USDC had no issues. USDC said, you want transparency? No problem. And therefore, USDC became compliant in the MiCA regulations. Tether's CEO started, back chatting to the EU and saying, well, we don't want to show transparency. You're trying to force us to keep our assets in your banks. We don't trust you. Fine, don't trust us. Don't operate in our market space. But we don't trust you either. It's a two-way street. So, on that note, Tether is at risk of being delisted by Coinbase over MiCA compliance. In a move that could reshape the Europeans' stablecoin landscape, Coinbase Global Inc. made a shocking announcement today that the global exchange revealed its plans to delist all unauthorized stablecoins from its trading platforms across the European Economic Area by the end of this year. This bold decision directly responds to the European Union's upcoming crypto regulations markets in crypto assets, the MICA. The MICA's effect on stablecoin issuers. The MICA is poised to bring a sweeping change to the European crypto ecosystem. The first phase of the MICA regulations came into effect, especially targeting stablecoin issuers. Under the new framework, stablecoin issuers must obtain an e-money license to operate within the EU. This legal shift aims to ensure consumer protection and mitigate systematic risk in the fast-evolving crypto sector. Coinbase, known for its emphasis on regulatory compliance, is taking the lead in ensuring it meets all of the MICA demands ahead of its schedule. In an interview with Coinbase's spokesperson, it was revealed that the exchange intends to restrict stablecoin services to non-compliant EU users. Tether Holdings, the native token USDT, is at risk of being delisted in the EU market space, which is a huge market space if they get delisted in. The stablecoin issuer could soon be inaccessible to European users via Coinbase because it has yet to secure the necessary permissions to operate in the EU, which is simple: transparency. The impact on Tether and USDT's dominance. Tether's USDT, the world's largest stablecoin by market cap, has long held the lion's share of the global stablecoin market space. However, Europe's lack of regulatory clearance has jeopardized the token's future. I don't see it that way, but especially with the MICA imminent rollout. The looming restrictions are not exclusive to Coinbase. Other exchanges like OKX Exchange have delisted Tether. Bitstamp delisted Tether. Uphold has already started limiting access to some stablecoins, including Tether, in anticipation of the regulatory overhauls in the EU market space. Tether, meanwhile, has remained a tight-lipped, declining to comment on whether it will seek necessary permissions to maintain its presence in the EU. As the MICA tightens the nose around non-compliant stablecoins, alternative stablecoins like Circle's USDC are emerging as a clear beneficiary. Coinbase plans to offer its users the option to convert unauthorized stablecoins to EU-compliant stablecoins. So the moment Coinbase makes the switch over and USDT is no longer available to any EU citizen, everybody can have the option to turn their USDT into USDC like this, which will instantly provide a lot of liquidity into the USDC token from USDT. The stablecoin space could also see new challenges from companies like Robinhood Markets or Revolut. Both firms are reportedly exploring the launch of their own stablecoins. It is true. Revolut is going to be launching their own stablecoin as well, and so is Robinhood. They're most likely going to be applying for MICA license and being able to operate there, so there's no issues on that matter regarding Robinhood or Revolut. But Tether, it's losing dominance. And this is starting from the EU market space. It's going to carry on to other market spaces. So if the EU is going to do this, the UK is going to do this, Canada is going to do this, the US will do this, Australia will do. Okay, to put it in a much more simpler sense, instead of me listing countries one by one that we're going to be delisting somewhere down the line USDT, G20 countries, okay? G20 countries last year signed the same declaration to be under the same sets of rules, the majority of rules when it comes to cryptocurrencies. At the last year's G20 summit in New Delhi, every country in the G20 signed the same declaration to be under the same sets of rules inside the crypto space. So if the EU is going to be delisting USDT due to their regulations and policies, in most cases, so are the rest of the G20 countries eventually. So if Tether can't operate in the EU, Tether won't be able to operate in the rest of the G20 countries as we move along as well. It's going to have difficulties because they're sharing a similarity in laws. So what was stated in the New Delhi, essentially summit, G20 summit, they said that the same way every plane in the sky has the same rules for every country. They said cryptocurrencies should be treated like that, where it has the same rules in all G20 countries, with some minor added differences depending on your jurisdictions. But the majority of the rules should be the same in G20 countries. And described as the same way every plane has the same rule in the sky for every country, should apply to crypto as well. So in the New Delhi G20 summit, they all signed a declaration. About 2 months later, all the bank governors met in Marrakesh to go around some paperwork, the centralized banks, and they all signed another agreement as well. That was last year. So EU coming out with their MiCA regulations and so on. Tether is not allowed to operate due to not being transparent. Tether is going to have difficulties in all G20 countries. So they better show transparency to the EU or eventually goodbye Tether and the rest of the G20 countries. And that's the biggest market spaces ever. I mean, if Tether loses the space in the US, if they lose space in Canada, Australia, I mean, India, for example, the list just goes on and on and on regarding G20 countries. And it's the biggest market spaces by GDP growth. So now, it also does give room for other stable coins to come through and sweep in. USDC is doing quite well for itself. But there's one more stable coin coming out very soon. Ironically, perfect timing. Tether is losing market share and Ripple stablecoin comes out of nowhere. It's all about the timeline. Why can't El Salvador? Actually, I think I missed a few questions before I answer that one. Where were you? Where were we? I think we were here. By the way, this is a live show as well. So if you have any questions, don't be shy. If you have any questions that's relatable to crypto space or regulations or policies, put them down inside the comment section. Do not be shy, even if it's your first time watching this. I'm reading everyone's questions, giving short, sweet, simple answers to get through everyone. Miles, I was trying to say, why have that is VP Pence as VP if Trump wasn't going to listen to him? If I had listened to Pence, he would not be at legal problems that he created for himself. Ah, gotcha. I just haven't all back to Brad. Not qualified for a good opinion, but I'm not selling my 2,000 plus XRP. No problem, Carlos. Miles, do you think Iran is powerful than the... What? Miles, do you think Iran is more powerful than the US? Hell no. Nobody's more powerful than the US. I'm Persian. I'm Iranian. So, no. There is not a single country on this planet that's more powerful than the United States of America. Not a single country. I just give it all away. So funky, but regarding XRP. What about Solo and Corium built on XRP Ledger? Corium and Solo built on the XRP Ledger. What do I think about those two projects? I mean, the Solo project seems decent. Corium seems decent as well. But if I had a choice of to buy, for example, Solo token for the Solo ecosystem, or Corium's token for the Corium ecosystem, or XRP's token for the XRP Ledger, I'm choosing XRP all day long. If I had a choice to buy XRP, Solo, or Corium, and they're both built on the XRP Ledger, I'm still going for XRP. I couldn't see a reason behind why I would choose to go for Solo or Corium when I could go for the backbone of both of them, the XRP Ledger. It's always about the backbone. El Salvador told International Monetary Fund to up your... Yeah. Hi, Miles of CMF. Stormy, good to see you. How you doing? This is so true. Yeah. Why can El Salvador on their own little amount? Exactly, own their own little amount. Facts. Will the SEC's lawsuit BS affect the RLUSD release date in any way? Possible. Knowing Gary Gensler, anything's possible. Regarding Gary Gensler, I mean, he's a very unpredictable man. He's a very... Because there's the argument of this is one big show, and there's the argument of this is one genuine case, and Gary's just a bitter man. A very, very bitter, miserable man. But it shouldn't. Let's see. If USDT did go Titanic, what would happen to all the tokens paired to USDT, i.e. XRP, XLM, and all the others? What would, also go to zero? No, nothing's going to go to zero, by the way, because, USDT is paired with 99% of the crypto space. But there are tokens that are paired with Bitcoin. There are tokens that are paired with Ethereum. There are tokens that are paired with USDC. So nothing's going to go to zero. There's a lot of pairing going on. It's not just USDT pairings. So don't worry. Be confused about all that. No problem. But yeah, nothing's going to go to zero. Don't worry about it. USDT isn't the only pair option. I mean, there are tokens that are paired to Bitcoin, tokens that are paired to Solana, tokens that are paired to Ethereum, tokens that are paired to USDC. So if USDT goes down, the market's not going to zero. It's going to affect the market space, definitely, but nothing's going to zero now. Coinbase gives a deadline is December 24th. Thank you for that, Orphan. Good. Grand Rising Miles and CMF. Ray, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? Now, let's go through this particular news. Skybridge. Now, before I tell you which crypto project it is, I want everybody to guess. Right now, inside the comment section, even if you are watching this for the first time ever, get involved inside the comment section right now. So I'm going to give you the question, and you tell me the answer inside the comment section. Let's see who gets it right. Skybridge Capital has secured $100 million for a fund. So Skybridge Capital has raised $100 million for a particular crypto project. And they're going to be investing more into it, a lot more. Who has Skybridge Capital chosen to fund? Right now, everybody inside the comment section. It's not a trick question. I typically sometimes do trick questions to catch people out inside the comment section, but it's not a trick question, and it's actually medium hard to question. Okay, so who has Skybridge chosen to back with their $100 million funding, $100 million in fundings? And who has Skybridge chosen to back? Everybody put right now inside the comment section, which crypto project do you think is the chosen crypto project from Skybridge to fund? And they're going to be funding a lot more into it. But they're starting with $100 million. Right now, everyone get involved. Who do you think is going to be? Evening Miles of CMF. Hope everyone is well. Ronnie, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? Also, no one cheats. No one go and check the news. I feel like some people are going to go and check the news now. No one go and check the news. Take a guess. Who have they chosen? Have they chosen XRP? Have they chosen XLM? Have they chosen Bitcoin? Have they chosen Ethereum? Have they chosen XDC? Have they chosen AVAX? Have they chosen Solana? Don't go and check the news. What field is Skybridge in? Venture capital. I don't know why, but I have a feeling some people check the news quickly. So T says AVAX. Adi says Algo. Kamal says XDC. Shelly says AVAX or Algo. What field is venture capital? Bull XRP says XRP. Mike says Ondo. Ronnie says Casper Labs. Interesting, Ronnie. Orphan says AVAX. Joe says, I haven't got a Danny. You haven't got a clue? Is that what you're trying to write? Litecoin again, maybe, is what Ronnie's saying. You never know. It was a very odd one, a few nights ago when I asked the same question about a different company and they were funding into Litecoin. But no, it's not Litecoin this time around. So, based on the answers of AVAX, Algo, XDC, AVAX, and Algo, XRP, Ondo, Casper Labs, AVAX, HBAT, HBAR, I'm guessing, and Litecoin. Yeah, it's, well, I'm going to say ADA. It's an interesting pick, Cardano. Skybridge Capital has secured $100 million fund essentially a significant financial move, Skybridge Capital has successfully raised $100 million for its new Algorand fund. They raised $100 million for Algorand. $100 million for Algorand, with the hopes to eventually reach to a total of $250 million and beyond. This announcement was essentially made during the Salt Hedge Fund conference in New York City, highlighting the firm's ongoing commitment to cryptocurrency investments. Despite the optimism surrounding the investment, AlgoCoin has not yet seen the substantial price surge that many investors anticipated. The fund aims to leverage the growing interest in altcoins, which have been receiving increased, essentially, attention alongside Bitcoin's rise. Skybridge will serve as the investment sub-advisor for the fund in collaboration with the First Trust advisor. The company currently manages around $700 million in cryptocurrency assets, underscoring its deep involvement in the sector. Key takeaways from this: Skybridge's new initiatives include an investment target of $250 million, with $100 million already secured, focus on Algorand, aiming to boost its market presence, Skybridge's extensive experience with $700 million worth of cryptocurrencies to their names. The creation of this fund emphasizes the importance of institutional investors in the cryptocurrency market space, potentially paving the way for more innovative financial products in the future. Skybridge had a choice of a lot of cryptocurrency. Skybridge could have invested $100 million in Solana. They could have invested $100 million in Ethereum if they wanted to. They could have invested $100 million into AVAX or XRP or XLM or XDC and so on. There's so many choices. But they chose Algorand. Even a few nights ago, another major announcement came out where another high-profile company decided to fund into Litecoin. It's very odd movements in terms of financing, but Algorand is fast and cheap and reliable in terms of transactions for cross-border payments. Makes sense in that area. But some people got it right. The people that got it right was Adi, who said Algo, Shelly, who said Algo as well. Miles reminds me of some of my teachers going to check for answers. Reminds me of my teachers going to check for answers. I'm just about to say whatever you just said. Maybe it's the new coin you told us last time. It could be, maybe soon. It has to be someone not what. It has to be someone not what we think. ICNT is what Lena said. SWTR. All good. I've been adding to my Algo bag. That's good. For anybody that's holding Algo, that's amazing news for Algo, I'll be honest. If you are holding Algo right now, Skybridge is funding Algo. Not only funding it, but deciding to build on it. And they are a huge venture capitalist. I'm on to you, Miles. Every time you ask one of these questions, there's always a project we most likely don't expect. That's good news for Algo. Yeah, definitely. Carbon neutral Algo, true. But AVAX is also carbon neutral as well, heavily carbon neutral. Hence why Citibank is on AVAX chain on Subnet Green. They made a huge announcement about it. So, Citibank also filed a patent on AVAX's Subnet Green. That's how much they love the carbon neutral Algo aspect about it. But Algo is carbon neutral as well, which is true. AVAX XRP is also carbon neutral as well. When is the new token ICNT launching and where? ICNT is probably coming at the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken. That's good news for Algo. It definitely is. Now, what we're going to talk about next is Thailand. Because moving off Algo news and Skybridge news, which is great news for Algo, for anybody that's holding it, to Thailand. Mainly because another bank, preferably Thailand's second largest bank, has just been approved to launch Thailand's first ever regulated digital asset custody service. Thailand's second largest financial institution, K-Bank, has received a license from the Ministry of Finance to launch a regulated digital asset custody service essentially under their own custodian brand. This new venture will operate under the guidance of the country's Securities and Exchange Commission and aims to essentially serve the Thai digital asset businesses. With the licensing approval secured, the bank is preparing its systems to begin operations by early 2025. K-Bank's entry into the digital asset space is a part of its broader strategy to strengthen its position in the sector. The custodian service is being developed by Unity Capital, a subsidiary fully owned by the K-Bank services. In October of last year, K-Bank acquired a local cryptocurrency exchange and rebranded it for their own trades. The bank also established a separate subsidiary for other functions, including custody and investment management. The group also encompasses various divisions, such as the investment groups, and they officially started its fund management group as well, and operations, which focuses on building blockchain infrastructure. These entities support the bank's comprehensive approach to providing a range of digital asset services and solutions. According to Mr. Pipit, the president of K-Bank, the second largest bank in Thailand, the launch of this custodian is a significant step towards boosting the security of digital assets in Thailand. He emphasized that this new custodian service will play a critical role in supporting the country's digital asset business space. This will lay a strong foundation for the further development of digital financial infrastructure, promoting Thailand as a digital economy hub and advancing the country's digital industry, said Mr. Pipit, the bank's president. Beyond digital assets, K-Bank has also been active in tokenizations of traditional financial products and services. The Thai bank joined forces with Citibank in a funding round as well for a Singaporean-based platform offering fractional bond tradings on the blockchain. In addition, K-Bank also launched KXVC, $100 million venture capital fund targeting investments in Web3, decentralized finance, and artificial intelligence. Apart from these investments, K-Bank is also involved in venture building activities. One of its latest projects include Anu, a digital identity verification platform aimed at improving security and compliance in the digital space. With these initiatives, K-Bank, the second largest bank in Thailand, aims to become a key player in emerging digital financial ecosystem of Thailand, supporting both traditional and digital financial innovation within the country. So, while Thailand is greenlighting their second largest bank inside the crypto space to move forward, bring some innovation in tokenization, AI technology, building high-profile wallets, self-storage wallets, and also bringing innovation of connecting traditional financial space to digital financial space, some countries are still trying to decide what is the security. While Thailand's second largest bank, who's just came out of nowhere, decided to launch, greenlighted by the Thailand authorities, by their own SEC, to offer cryptocurrency services, to store cryptocurrency services, to offer tokenization services, AI services, and to also invest into these types of companies. A full green light. And then on the other side of the world, we have one particular country with one particular agency named the SEC, and a man by the name of Gary Gensler still trying to decide in 2024, in this particular month, what is the security. It's very interesting how the world functions in some market spaces. While one is trying to decide the category, the other one's already moved on. Now, take another guess. So we're going to do another quiz right now. Take another guess of which crypto project has decided to enter into the Japanese market space. Right now, everybody inside the comment section, get involved. Which crypto project do you think has decided to enter into the Japanese market space? It's not a trick question. Nobody go and check on the internet, because I know some people are getting the questions too accurate on the answers and very fast as well. So don't check. Just take a natural guess. It's not a trick question. It could be a medium to hard question, but it's a crypto project you've heard about a lot, but not that lot at the same time. Which crypto project has decided to break into the Japanese market space? Go right now inside the comment section. Don't be shy, even if you're watching this for the first time ever. Don't be shy. Put inside the comment section right now. Just throw a crypto project out there. You might get it right. Let's see who gets it right. Which crypto project decided to enter the Japanese market space on a large scale? Eventually on a large scale, but they've decided to enter into it. Give us a clue. It starts with A. I think that was maybe an easy clue. It starts with A. That's the only clue you're getting. It starts with the letter A. A for Apple. It starts with the letter A. That's the only clue you're getting. I mean, that's just made it a lot more easier. And I know, okay, I'm not going to say anything actually. Let's see who gets it right. It's a crypto project you've heard of, but it's not a crypto project you hear about a lot. Okay, here's another clue. It's a crypto project you've heard of, of somewhat inside the crypto space, but not a lot about it. It starts with the letter A, and you've heard about it, but not that much. By the time everyone's guessing inside the comment section right now, again, if you're watching this for the first time, get involved inside the comment section. Which crypto project do you think has decided to break into the Japanese market space? It starts with the letter A. It's a crypto project that you don't hear about that often compared to the rest of the crypto space, which is, normally you hear about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Base, XRP, XLM, XTC. Those are the main ones you always hear about inside the crypto space. This particular crypto project starts with the letter A, A for Apple, and you don't hear about it that much, but you still heard about it. And while you take a guess inside the comment section, everyone, I'm going to go through the comment section so the questions don't pile on. Let me see where they're at. I've just checked my pillow. I have some algo. Let's go, Mike. That's why I said AVAX. Miles, I research the crypto market /news every day, and now I'm taking even more notes just in case you come out with more quizzes. Let's go, Addy. I'm also logging algo, hoping there will be a bit of a pump. Let's go, Addy. That's a good move. Miles, I think you should consider having a quiz night once a month. Let's go. Why not? It's not a bad idea. I'm trying to get quizzes more involved inside the live show, to get everyone involved, to get everyone thinking, to grow your knowledge. Because you're more likely to remember certain things if you read them or understand them, and you'll never forget it. So if anybody ever asks you, which crypto project is breaking to Japan, you would instantly know the answer because you're doing this quiz right now. But if anybody tells you, which company did Skybridge invest into, you would instantly know the answer because you took part in this quiz. Once you read it or understand it, you'll never forget it. Jasmine coin is what essentially Ronnie said, Jasmine Japanese Bitcoin, but starting with A, but that point I didn't say it was started. Okay, now, here we go. Ray says AVAX is the token I'm talking about when I say which crypto project has decided to break into the Japanese market space. So Ray says AVAX. Give us a clue, which I said A, kitty cat is what Jason says. T says file. George says HBAR. Susie says DeFi. That's a broad range of crypto assets. Shelly says AVAX. Jason says Algorand. Healthy Wealth says AVAX. Susie says something to do with gaming. You could say, maybe. Mike says ARC. That's an interesting one. Jason says EOS. What letter does it end with? What letter does it end with? I think that will make it too easy. If I say what letter it ends, maybe, okay. It ends with, no, actually, I'll make it too easy. I'll make it too easy for you. If I tell you what's the first letter and what's the ending letter, you know what? I'll tell you the third letter. The third letter is T. It's A, something, T, something, something. A, something, T, something, something. Shelley says orb. Orphan says atom. Ronnie says spots. Ronnie says APTOS. George says over. There are numerous cryptocurrencies moving into the Japanese market. I think I might know what it is, but I don't want to guess now. Go for it, Addy. Don't be shy. Lena says APTOS. Scott says ACH. Now everybody's getting the answer. Here we go. APTOS, 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 APTOS. There we go. Yeah. So, as I said, it's not a crypto project you hear about often inside the crypto space, but you hear about it. I mean, what you normally hear is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Base, XRP, XN, XDC. That's the main crypto projects you hear about 24/7 inside crypto space. This one, you hear about it here and there, but it is doing its own thing. I mean, APTOS is doing quite well for itself, you could say. Apex. Now, APTOS, pretty much everybody got it right towards the end. But the first person to actually get it right, without me mentioning the third letter, somebody actually got it right without me mentioning the third letter, which was Ronnie. Ronnie was the first person to get it right. And then Lena got it right. And then X and everybody else just followed. They all cheated, Miles. They all cheated, Miles. Did I get that first? Yep. Ronnie was the first one to get it. APTOS. They all cheated, Miles. APTOS Labs enters the Japanese market space after acquiring Hash Palette. APTOS Labs, the layer one company behind APTOS network, has stormed the Asian blockchain market space after it acquired the Japanese NFT service provider Hash Palette. The strategic partnership will see APTOS get essentially a foothold in the Japanese blockchain market space to foster innovation within its sector. According to the announcement that came out today, APTOS and Hash Palette partnership represents a strategic step for APTOS and is poised to introduce new developments within the Japanese growing blockchain ecosystem. The company's statement said Hash Palette would migrate its palette chains and its attendance apps to APTOS's network. The transition will happen over time and is expected to conclude in early 2025 in the preparation for the upcoming Expo 2025 in Japan. APTOS will use the Expo to showcase its technology to everyone in Japan. As the sole provider of digital wallet systems during the event, by integrating Hash Palette into APTOS, participants attending the Expo 2025 in Japan, a blockchain event, can seamlessly interact with numerous blockchain-based technologies, such as cryptocurrencies, NFTs, decentralized applications. The development that allows APTOS Labs to showcase the practical application of blockchain during such a major global event is a huge step forward in bringing blockchain utility and accountability in mainstream day-to-day activities and settings. Following the announcement of APTOS Labs and Hash Palette partnership, the network's native token price of APTOS network's token price surged to a trade at $8.24, which is up about 7.32%. In comparison, PLT lost at least 15% of its value during the same period. According to the statement by APTOS Labs, the two partners are still ironing out the final details as they work out the approvals and customary closing conditions. The newfound acquisition by essentially APTOS Labs comes at the heels of the collaboration with OKX Ventures, aiming to launch a 10 million fund to support projects associated with APTOS Foundation. The fund, dubbed as the Ankara, is meant to facilitate the growth via accelerator programs that will provide targeted mentorship, venture support, and market entry into the access of a broad network of experts for select projects. The decision by AP2S Labs to acquire HashPalette shows the commitment of the former to drive its roots deeper into the Asian market space and essentially becoming an increasingly vital tool within the Japanese market space. Japan continues to witness a surge in interest in blockchain-based technologies, where users explore how blockchain technology can strengthen areas such as finance, gaming, and content creation. Tokyo is also set to review its crypto regulatory landscape, with talks of lowering taxes associated with digital assets. It is very true. Tokyo is going to be reducing their taxes from the 55% they were essentially offering, which was ridiculous. Imagine paying 55% on taxes on crypto assets. They're lowering it to 20%, which is more of a standard rate. But if they can lower it to even lower, that'll be better. But anyways, good thing is, I'm not on that market space. I'm not paying 55%. But if you are somebody that's holding AP2S right now, they have just essentially tiptoed into the Japanese market space by acquiring a Japanese company. And OKX, the exchange, has a OKX Ventures arm, just like Binance Ventures and Coinbase Ventures and so on. So OKX Exchange has decided to also be a part of AP2S as well. OKX Exchange is also funding essentially AP2S Labs Foundation to go out and get some more partnerships. So not only is AP2S breaking into the Japanese market space, but they're also being funded by a crypto exchange to get more partnerships in line. This could actually be good for their chain. So if you're somebody inside of AP2S's ecosystem and you own their tokens and so on, this is majorly positive news for you moving forward. Now, here's another quiz. And nobody cheat this time. Who do you think is the chosen project? Who do you think is the second? I gotta say this one in code because I think somebody's going to be cheating. So, who do you think is the second largest tokenized US Treasury asset? Everybody right now inside the comment section. Here's another question. Everybody right now inside the comment section, get involved. Even if you're watching this for the first time ever, just drop a crypto project in the comment section. You might get it right. Who do you think right now is sitting at the second position? Okay, second position for the second largest tokenized US Treasury asset. Which crypto project do you think is sitting at number 2 for the largest tokenized US Treasury asset, which is a huge deal? Right now, for a crypto project in the middle. Okay, it's not an easy guess, and I can't give you a clue this time because if I do, it ruins it. There aren't that many crypto projects that start with the same letters of this one. Actually, you know what? I can't do this. The second letter, the third letter is D. That might throw some people off track. The third letter is D. Right now, inside the comment section, who do you think it is? The chosen project, actually, project sitting at number 2, the second largest tokenized US Treasury fund. It's a public blockchain. Which crypto project do you think it is? That's sitting at number 2, the second largest tokenized US Treasury asset. I feel like everybody's opening up CoinMarketCap on the side right now, trying to guess third letter D. Which crypto project could this possibly be? Just take a guess. I feel like someone's cheating or everyone's cheating. I'm not really sure what's going on. Did I get that first? Yes, you did. Quiz night once a month. So basically, day to day, they can spy on all your activity. Basically, didn't Japan last week have the biggest conference of the crypto ecosystem? Yes, they did. Didn't Japan just hold the biggest crypto conference last week? They did, but the next one's 2025. So Orphan is the first one. He just threw a random crypto project out there, and he said excellent. But to be fair to Orphan, I didn't say the third letter was easy. USDT. Ooh, Lena. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not going to say anything, but why do I feel like everybody went to CoinMarketCap and just checked what's the third letter of a crypto project? That's D. Gino's here. You are now so that no one cheats. Okay, let's see. Orphan says Ondo. Third letter is D. Joe says Ondo as well. Lena says USDT. Third letter is D. Ray says USDC. Take an interest perspective on that one, which is, it could be. The third letter is D. Jason says Ondo as well. Adi says I put. Shelly says I can't even find one with the third letter D. I put money into this after you spoke about it last time, Miles. Ondo Finance. Or is it USD? Ronnie says USD. Okay, I'm going to give you 60 seconds. I'm going to give everyone 60 seconds starting now. Everybody put your answers inside the comment section. 60 seconds starting now. Go for it. We are at 30 seconds. Right now, what do you think it is? Dodge is what Bull XRP said. USDT. Is it again? Not something we would think. No, it's actually something you've heard about before. There's a 60-second delay. It's actually something you've heard about. That's it. Okay, the answer is actually something you've heard about as well. The answer is, look, the reason why I couldn't tell you what the first letter was for this crypto project is because it was too easy. If I told everyone the first letter was O, everybody would have got it correct. So I couldn't tell you what the first letter was. Instead, I decided to tell you what the third letter was, which was D, which is Ondo. So who's the first person that got it right? Orphan was the first person that got it right. And then it was Joe, and then it was Jason, and then it was Ondo Finance. Adi remembers when I told him about Ondo Finance. I was the first person to talk about Ondo Finance when it launched off the door. Doge is what he said as well. USDT is what he said. Is it again? No, USDT. Can I have a continent, please? Continent, please. Ondo Finance becomes the second largest tokenized US Treasury asset with $439 million, which is massive. To be fairly honest, to a lot of people, might not seem like a lot. People say, oh, well, it's not in the billions of dollars, but that's still crazy that Ondo is sitting at number 2. Sorry. Ondo Finance, a real-world asset tokenization project, has just announced that its USDY token has become the second largest tokenized US Treasury asset, surpassing Franklin Templin's FOBXX in terms of total value locked, with a TVL now exceeding $439 million, establishing itself as a prominent player in the tokenized finance sector, which continues to gain traction as investors seek blockchain-based access to traditional financial instruments. USDY, essentially Ondo's token, rapid, essentially in terms of tokenized US Treasury market, underscores the growing demand for tokenized assets, which offers investors the ability to access US Treasury securities through blockchain technology, As of October, it now ranks second only to BlackRock's tokenized treasury fund. Ondo is ranking second behind BlackRock, demonstrating a stronger investor interest in Ondo Finance's innovative approach to bringing traditional finance and decentralized finance. People, high-profile investors, prefer to go towards Ondo Finance than Franklin Templeton. Which is crazy, because if it was just crypto project versus crypto project, fair enough, you go for the one that you want to go for. But investors, high-profile investors, are saying no to Franklin Templeton's FOBXX and saying yes to Ondo's Finance for tokenized assets. They're saying no to Franklin Templeton and yes to Ondo Finance. By surpassing Franklin Templeton's FOBXX in terms of TVL, it has solidified its position as a leading tokenized treasury asset, providing investors with a convenient and liquid means to gain exposure to US Treasury bonds. Tokenized assets represent a growing trend in the DeFi space, where traditional financial instruments are digitalized and made available on the blockchain platforms. This process offers several advantages for investors. Accessibility. Tokenized US Treasury assets allow investors to access US government bonds without the need for a traditional brokerage account, enabling 24/7 trading and fractional ownerships, which is true because it's Ondo Finance and it's not Franklin Templeton. Liquidity. Unlike traditional bonds, tokenized assets can be traded on blockchain platforms, providing greater liquidity and potentially more attractive returns for investors looking to capitalize on the price movements. Transparency. Blockchain technology enables transparent tracking and verifications of asset ownership, which enhances trust and security for investors. Yield opportunities. Tokenized assets also have such yield opportunities like USDY, which offering yields that are competitive with traditional financial products, providing a compelling option for investors seeking yield-enhanced alternatives within the DeFi ecosystem. Ondo Finance has established itself as a pioneer in real-world asset tokenization, aiming to expand access to traditional financial products through blockchain technology. By offering USDY, Ondo Finance enables users to invest in US Treasury securities in a manner that is both efficient and accessible to a global reach. The platform's growth reflects the increasing demand for tokenized assets as investors look to diversify their portfolio with low-risk, income-generating assets. Ondo Finance's success with USDY demonstrates the potential for DeFi platforms to bring real-world financial instruments onto the blockchain, creating new opportunities for investors and enhancing market liquidity. With USDY now the second largest tokenized US Treasury asset, Ondo Finance is well positioned to further expand its offerings and attract more investors. As more traditional financial institutions explore tokenization, the market for assets like USDY is likely to grow, potentially introducing even more products and yield opportunities. A demand for secure, yield-bearing assets remains strong, and similar tokenized assets could attract a broader base of investors who essentially are seeking alternatives to traditional financial products. Furthermore, ongoing developments and regulations on blockchain adoption can pave the way for more widespread acceptance of tokenized assets with both the crypto and traditional financial communities. The rise of essentially Ondo and their token of USDY becoming the second largest tokenized US Treasury asset highlights the growing appetite for tokenized financial products and the role that Ondo Finance plays inside the market evolution. By offering access to US Treasury securities on the blockchain, Ondo Finance is helping the financial space and providing innovative investment opportunities for global audiences. As the market for tokenized assets continues to expand, the success underscores the potential of DeFi to reshape traditional financial markets by bringing real-world assets into the digital space. For investors, the growth of USDY and Ondo Finance offers a glimpse into the future of finance, where blockchain technology and traditional assets are here to create a more exclusive and accessible financial ecosystem. So, Ondo Finance has just ranked number 2. BlackRock is ranking number 1 for tokenized assets in terms of their funds. Ondo Finance is ranking number 2. Franklin Templeton is ranking number 3. Ondo Finance just beat Franklin Templeton, which is a major, essentially, major milestone for Ondo Finance to go up against, huge corporate, major corporations, and to be ranking above them for a crypto project that pretty much was released not that long ago, is now ranking second below BlackRock and above Franklin Templeton. It's a huge milestone, to be very honest. Absolutely huge. Let's go inside the comment section before I give you the next news. But the next news is also an interesting one, as every news is. The next news is Bitwise, and they're introducing a new type of ETF nobody's ever seen before. And I'll tell you what I mean by that after we go through the comment section. And again, this is a live show, so if you do have any questions, put that in the comment section. Even if you're watching this for the first time, you're new inside the crypto space, go for it. Put down your questions inside the comment section. In your opinion, is ICP solid for this bull run, brother? It's an all right project, is what I would say. There's a lot of projects that are better than ICP, but it's not a terrible project, is what I would say. But there are projects that are above it, I would have to say as well. Who is first? Who was first on Ondo? It was Orphan, got it right. When I asked the question, who's the second largest project for tokenized assets, Orphan was the first one. He said Ondo. You were the first one. If Nancy Pelosi invested in it, amen. Follow the center's money. Yeah, follow the money. Orphan, BlackRock uses Ondo too. No, well, okay. Regarding BlackRock using Ondo, they don't really use Ondo. BlackRock shares some sort of public data through all corals and so on. And Ondo and a few other crypto projects have access to this. So it's not that they use them, but they're sharing data with them. Public data in some sort of sense. So they're not using them, but they're still competitors as well. You think Filecoin can 10x to run miles? What do you think? Price prediction. Do I think Filecoin can 10x? Okay, Filecoin in the past. The reason why Filecoin did quite brilliantly for itself in the past was because the Chinese market space. The Chinese market space were head over heels in Filecoin. And then Filecoin went through some turbulence with a case in China. And that case came to an end, and that turbulence pretty much ended for Filecoin. But it's still a great project, and data is absolutely key in a digital world. So it has utility purposes. Data is absolutely key in a digital world. And according to some countries, it's pretty much the next oil. In Saudi Arabia and essentially United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates, which Dubai, for some people they know it as Dubai, but it's just one particular part of it. But the United Arab Emirates actually came out and said, as an oil country, that data is the next oil. And FAO could play a role in that scenario. Not saying it's going to play all of the role in that scenario. There's going to be a lot of crypto projects competing for that role. But it can play some sort of a role in that scenario. Data is absolutely key. But regarding 10x, depends on the regulations. It depends on the amount of money that's coming after the regulation. So there's a lot of things that depends on it. But what I would say, it will do good for itself. Do very good for itself. Data is absolutely key. And that is a big data player. Very big data player. What about LCX on tokenization of assets? As I know you're not keen on them. What do I think about? Because I hold Filecoin as well, so we're both in the same boat, and they're gonna play a role. What about LCX on tokenization of assets? As I know you're not keen on them. It's true. LCX is a asset that was, in my opinion, overhyped by two particular crypto influencers, which I'm not going to be mentioning their names, but two particular crypto influencers a very long time ago overhyped LCX to their followers and said that LCX is the next 7,000x token. I don't know where they're getting these random numbers from, but yeah, LCX was definitely overhyped towards people. And they said LCX is regulated, and therefore that's why it's good to go in a regulation world. Yes, but it was regulated in its own jurisdiction, which means outside of its own jurisdictions, it's not regulated. That's the issue you gotta understand as well. A crypto project, just because a crypto project is regulated in the UK, for example, it doesn't mean that that crypto project is now regulated in Singapore. It doesn't apply. It doesn't mean that that crypto project is right now regulated in Australia because it has a green light in the UK, or it's green lighted in Canada and therefore it's green light. It doesn't apply like that. So people were selling people dreams. Well, influencers were selling people dreams about LCX, saying, "Well, it's regulated. It's good to go. It can't be a security because it's regulated." Yes, within its own jurisdiction. Outside of its jurisdiction is fair game. Anybody can call it a security if they wanted to. Anybody could sue it if they wanted to. It only has legality in its own jurisdiction. Beyond it, not so much. It's very basic as well. If the UK green lights a crypto project, it doesn't mean it's green lighted in Singapore as well, or in Canada, or in Australia, or in Japan, or in Saudi Arabia. LCX was a pipe dream, is what I would say to people. A very, very big pipe dream that was sold to people. But look, it's not a bad project. There are very bad projects out there, and that's not one of them. But it was a pipe dream that was pushed upon you by very, very bad, manipulative crypto influencers. That's why I tweeted out yesterday. And I said, this is a message for everybody inside the crypto space. The thing that I tweeted out, it was a message to everyone inside the crypto space, which was, any crypto influencer who's charging you money to watch their content, to call them or message them or take their course, is not here to help you. They're here to exploit you. Never forget that. Any crypto influencer is charging you money to watch their content, charging you money to message them, charging you money to call them, charging you money to play, essentially enter their course, or charging you money to enter their discords. They're not here to help you. They're here to exploit you. There's a difference. If you want to help someone, you help someone. So those particular people that were selling pipe dreams to people inside the crypto space, anyways, karma will catch up to them. But you saw the pipe dream on LCX. Not saying it's a terrible project, but nowhere near what they were selling it off as. But that's why I've always been free. I provide free content every single night on X and YouTube Live. We also have a free Telegram group as well, which anybody's more than welcome to join. But yeah, please be aware of crypto influencers that are charging you money to watch them, to message them, to call them. And so you can message me for free. Anybody can message me for free. And I always reply back. Maybe sometimes a little bit late because I have a very busy schedule, but I always reply back. And you can always call me as well if you really wanted to call me. You can call me. I don't charge any money either. I've been doing this for over 2 years now. People call me, people message me, people message me on Telegram and so on. Everybody messages me, everybody calls me. I haven't charged a single penny for over 2 years. I've been receiving calls from people that I've never met before, but I've still helped them out. And messages. I've also never met them at all, but I still helped them out. Never charged a single penny for it. Over 2 years I've been doing this. And this live show is free as well every single night. You can tune into it, have some fun. We share the news, we do some quizzes, we do some Q&As. But yeah, don't get sold pipe dreams on crypto influencers, especially the ones who are charging you to watch them, charging you to message them, charging you to call them, charging you to take their course, charging you to join their Discord. Why? Are you here to help people, or are you here to exploit people? And it's advisable to hold on the gaming tokens if you're not into gaming. Yeah. Gaming token, if you're inside the gaming sector is going to be absolutely huge. Do you think Ondo can get to $20? Consider variable change. Is Ondo still a good investment at its current price? Well, if we have some market turbulence, it's coming right back down. Not all the way down, but it's going to come back down. Is it advisable to hold gaming tokens? Is it advisable? No, it's not advisable to hold gaming tokens at all. No. If you want to hold gaming tokens, that's your choice. Preferably for me, finance projects is number one. Finance category is number one. Money going digital is always going to be number one category. No matter how you look at it, money going digital is always the number one category. The second category is going to be data, because it applies to everything. Web3 data, AI data, a digital world, we're going to be going into data in general. So money going digital, the finance category inside the crypto space is number one category in the long term. Data category is also long term essentially as well. And then the 1 and 2 positions. But if you want to go towards gaming is going to become a huge market space. If you want to go for gaming inside the crypto sector, it's going to become a huge market space. But beware of one thing when it comes to gaming projects, which is if people start losing interest in the game and so on, then that project is going to go downhill. The reason why I prefer financial projects and data projects is because it's something that's going to be used on a 24/7 basis. Nobody's going to lose interest in money, and nobody's going to be losing interest on data, because they need both of them. In a digital world, you need digital money, which is cross-border payment tokens, in other words, and you need digital storage, which is data. So 1 and 2 is always going to be finance category and data category, because you always need them. It's not about you don't like them or so on. Why I'm saying this is because the other categories, which is the gaming category, even though the gaming space is going to become huge, especially with the metaverse, eventually if it picks up, if people lose interest in that particular game over time, then you're pretty much done for. Then you have to keep on jumping from game to game to game to follow the crowd, because the crowd will move from game to game to game. Or you can just go for the financial projects and data projects, because nobody's going to be moving away. Everybody needs money in a digital world, and everybody needs storage in a digital world. It's just no questions about it. It's 1 and 2. That's the top categories in the digital world. 1 and 2, finance, storage. The other options, you have to jump from 1 to 1, because there will always be another better AI project, or a better gaming project, or a more fun gaming project, or so on and so on. But data, finance, it's going to run the show, no matter what. But once one financial project gets embedded into the system, that's it. Case closed. Forever, that financial system will be used for decades to come. And once one data project gets chosen, forever, full stop, that project will be chosen as data storage for decades to come. But gaming projects, you can't say this project is for decades to come, because it's a game. People could lose interest in 2 years' time, move to another project. But they'll never lose interest in money, and you'll never lose interest on data, because it's two vital things that you need in the digital world. So finance category, data category. I wouldn't say it's advisable to be holding gaming tokens, no, at all. Finance category and data category is always number 1, number 2. Do you see the news about the 6 board members all resigning from Find My Ancestry DNA? Yes, I did. Ancestry DNA, which was also part of the 21 something, where you spit inside of a cup and they'll tell you which country you're from. Their data became compromised, and decided to take the company private. It's actually illegal to trade futures in the UK on crypto. Facts. That's why we love you, Miles, regarding me sharing free info. Let's go. This is why we are loyal to you, Miles. Let's go, Shelly, because you are loyal to us and all for free. Let's go. You truly are number 1. We are very lucky to have you. Let's go, Mike. That sounds like my solicitor. That sounds like my solicitor. If they want to make money on you, different is you are an educator. Big difference. If they want to make money on you, different is you're an educator. Big difference. Biometrics will also be big due to the amount of people that have sent that DNA to companies that also have watches on my wrist. That's true. On your wrist. Yes, that's true. Now, we still got one major news, which is this one. Bitwise. Bitwise is about to be introducing a new type of ETF that nobody's ever seen, ever. Everybody's seen the basic Bitcoin ETF. Everybody's seen the basic Ethereum ETFs and some Solana ETFs in the Brazilian market space. But have you ever seen a switching ETF? Bitwise Asset Manager launches a new ETF strategy for crypto and treasury investments. Bitwise's asset manager has introduced a new product based on market trends for its 3 cryptocurrency futures ETFs. This initiative aims to achieve continuous gains by essentially adjusting the weight between cryptocurrency futures and US Treasury bonds according to current conditions. The new ETF will be identified by the ticker BITC, the new ETF strategy. This strategy is designed to reduce the risk of losses during downturns while supporting the long-term growth. It is set to come into effect around December 3rd. Bitwise has submitted a proposal to the SEC for a new ETF focused on Bitcoin and treasuries as well, planning to rotate the investment strategy of its 3 cryptocurrency futures and ETFs using its proprietary strategy named TradeWise. So this is what they're calling it, TradeWise. It's basically an ETF that you buy into and it moves about and tries to get you the most amount of profit rather than being stable on one particular token. It moves about on in between US treasuries and crypto. And it essentially it also indicates a date. The Bitcoin Strategy Optimal Roll ETF will begin operating under the names TradeWise Bitcoin and Treasuries Rotation Strategy ETF. The Ethereum Strategy ETF will be renamed to TradeWise Ethereum and Treasury Rotation Ether Equal Weight Strategy ETF, and it will operate under the names of TradeWise BTC paired with ETH and Treasury Rotation Strategy ETF. This new strategy dramatically responds to the market trends and volatility to ensure minimal deviation while maintaining a focus on long-term price appreciation. Matt Hugan, the Bitwise CTO, said, "Momentum is a significant factor across virtually all asset classes, and it's strong for crypto as well. The new TrendWise essentially utilizes this momentum through a trend-following approach that rotates between crypto and treasury investments based on market directions. The goal is to minimize downside volatility and potentially enhance risk adjustment returns." Bitwise essentially employs a signal-based on-market momentum for cryptocurrencies. This strategy includes Bitcoin and Ethereum determined by 10 to 20-day exceptional moving averages. Funds invest into relative cryptocurrencies as long as a 10-day EMA is above the 20-day EMA, indicating an uptrend momentum. Otherwise, they switch to US Treasury bonds. So you're buying this particular ETF, and this ETF of yours will move about. It will jump from Bitcoin Ethereum to US Treasuries, from US Treasuries to Bitcoin Ethereum to US Treasuries, depending on the market flow, so you don't take a loss. And it's called the rotation ETF. Funds will maintain current expenses ratios and tax regulations, ensuring existing investors do not take any action. Bitwise expansion steps. The year 2024 has been filled with developments for Bitwise. The company launched its first Bitcoin ETP in January and its first Ethereum ETP in July. In August, it expanded its footprint to the world's largest cryptocurrency index fund manager by acquiring the crypto fund provider ETC Group. Recently, Bitwise filed their S1 registration for the XRP Spot ETF, essentially the XRP Spot ETF as well, ETP, sorry, directly investing in Ripple Labs crypto token to the SEC. If approved, this will grant investors direct essentially access to Ripple token. Bitwise's recent initiative aims to offer a more diverse and flexible investment tool for crypto investors. The company's innovative strategies can help investors manage risk and potentially enhance their returns by adapting to market conditions. So I'm not really sure about the details of how they're exactly going to make this work, But for the first time ever, because they haven't revealed the details, they've just done some filings so far. But for the first time ever in this world, we're going to be having a rotation ETF where it jumps from Bitcoin and Ethereum to US Treasury bonds, to Bitcoin Ethereum to US Treasury bonds, to Bitcoin Ethereum to US Treasury bonds, depending on market conditions, to always give you the best returns. It's like a crypto bot. You know, when you go to Binance or Coinbase or crypto.com, now they're offering these crypto bots. They've been offering for a while, some of these exchanges. But these crypto bots where you fund it with money and the crypto bot just goes on its ones and starts buying this crypto and that crypto and sells this crypto and buys that crypto. It's basically what it is. They've created a ETF bot that knows what's the best outcome and jumps from asset to asset as a rotation. It's like an ETF bot. It's like the world's first ever ETF bot. Now, we've also, all good things must come to an end, and so has this live show. So if you enjoyed this live show and you're watching it for the first time ever, drop a follow, drop a like, and tune into it every single night. This was the CMF live show. My name is Miles, and I go by this persona of Crypto Miles. And I do this live show every single night, and I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, and sometimes I provide you the most interesting news out there. And we do Q&As on this live show as well, and we do quizzes on this live show as well to get everybody involved. And it's completely free to tune in every single night and get involved inside the conversation. This was episode 173 of the CMF live show. Episode 173. Every single night you can tune this. 11:25 p.m. UK time onwards, this live show will naturally start. Follow me if you already haven't. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you already haven't, turn on your bell notification when I go live. You instantly know. If you're watching this on X, follow me if you already haven't on X, and click the little bell icon as well so you get notified when I go on live. And also join the Telegram group as well. It's completely free. As I said, everything I provide is completely free of source. I've been helping people for over 2 years now. People call me, people message me for free. Never charge a single penny. I've helped people that I've never met in my entire lifetime before now. Never asked for anything in return. And also, the Telegram group is free as well. This live show is free. It's been free for over 2 years and it's still free forever. So if you're not following me, follow me. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Tune this live show every single night. This was the CMF live show, episode 173. And thanks so much to everyone that's been retweeting and liking this live show on X as well. Are you sure they will win with fees? I'm not sure how they're going to do it, I'll be honest with you. But it's an interesting concept. I'm sure they will win with the small print fees. Thank you, Miles of CMF. Mike, see you tomorrow. But sometimes as usual, no problem. Anytime. Thanks, Miles. Great live as usual. Night and day to all CMF. Shelly, let's go. See you tomorrow. Sometimes as usual. Wow, that's an interesting concept. It is, I'll be honest. Don't the treasuries print the book? There's a lot of, what ifs on regarding rotation ETFs. I'll be honest, there's a lot of questions on rotation ETFs. Good night, Miles and CMF. I will study for tomorrow's quizzes. Let's go, Irvin. See you tomorrow as usual. Susie, great show, Miles. Let's go. Susie, see you tomorrow same time as usual. Awesome live as usual. You're the best. Night, everyone. Joe, see you tomorrow same time as usual. Thanks for another lovely, great information live, Miles. And I think you will soon be on TV with these quizzes. Let's go, Addy. See you tomorrow sometime as usual. And then on tonight's live show, we talked about a mixture of news, rotation ETFs. We talked about some data points coming out of the US. We talked about a couple of crypto projects doing some major announcements and major partnerships. We talked about JP Morgan's perspective on the market space, Franklin Templeton. We talked about a lot, as we always do every single night, with Q&As and quizzes as well on live. Take care, Miles and CMF. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Ray, brother, see you tomorrow. Good live, great live. Miles, as usual. Thank you for the free education and news. Let's go, Jason. See you tomorrow, brother, sometimes as usual. Ray, take care, Miles and CMF. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Lena, thank you a bunch, Miles, and have a lovely night, CMF. Let's go, Lena. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Once again, everybody, you're more than welcome. If you're watching this for the first time ever, you're more than welcome to join the Telegram group. The link is on X. The link is on YouTube. If you can't find it, direct message me. And we have reached the endings of tonight's live show. So, Thank you so much to everybody that tunes in every single night. And thanks so much to the CMF that tunes in every single night. If you are new, welcome as well. I will be seeing everybody tonight, you could say, because I mean it's 1:39 a.m. right now in London. So I could see everybody tonight, 11:25 p.m. because right now it's a.m. in London. So see everybody 11:25 p.m. onwards, UK time. Same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world.